call me Roy.
Hi, welcome to Roy's Book Reviews. Hi, welcome to Roy's Book Reviews. Today, I am going to share my thoughts with you on the novel Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. Here is my copy of it. Now, Zone 1 happens to be a book about zombies. And if you are a fan of the zombie genre, whether on page or on screen, whether it's the George Romero variety or the Walking Dead style, or more lighthearted takes such as Zombieland, or the excellent dancer version found in Michael Jackson's Thriller video. Colson Whitehead's novel Zone 1 could possibly be for you. Or it may not be, since it's lacking in excessive bloody battle sequences or endearing camaraderie of the centered survivors, or wonderful choreography. Those who are drawn to video games and graphic novels and TV shows or movies where countless animated dead people slowly stalk their prey probably are the type who find ample helpings of gore to be appealing, even when other story elements are present, such as a sweet romance. And I have to say that I did root for Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone to get together in Zombieland, much as I hope that Woody Harrelson would find a carton of Twinkies. They need to serve as backdrop to people getting their faces eaten off in order to satisfy the taste of Zombieland aficionados. There is something about the nature of zombies that appeals. Hence, there is no shortage of stories that feature them. The better told ones starring these creatures keep us on the edges of our seats. Example of those for me, beyond the previously mentioned, are The Girl with All the Gifts, 28 Days Later, and Train to Busan. And I'm always up for another viewing of the frequently televised I Am Legend. Less imaginative, mediocre examples of the zombie genre trope will be quickly forgotten, but not because they fail to be action-packed. By the nature of the genre, boredom should be minimal. Hard to be bored when it's 50-50 that the next vicious attack is lurking right around the corner. Many excellent writers have taken their shot at zombie tales, so it's challenging to create a fresh new take rather than presenting a rehash. But imagination being infinite, somehow creators manage to come up with new perspectives and twists. In the long line of writers who have given it a go, Colson Whitehead is not one that readers familiar with his other work probably would have expected. I've reviewed any number of Colson Whitehead books in previous videos here, and none of them have been anything quite like Zone 1. Literary fiction is his bag, although he does like to dabble with genre material such as speculative and science fiction. So some Whitehead fans may not have been the least bit surprised by the territory he chose to explore in Zone 1. But make no mistake, subject matter shift aside, there is no dramatic change in Whitehead's writing style to accommodate the expectation of zombie purists. Zone 1 is very much a work of literary fiction, emphasis on exquisite prose rather than jump scares and close-up mutilations. If you are a reader who tends to find works of literary fiction tedious, there's an excellent chance that you will be bored by much of Zone 1. To be honest, as much of a fan as I am of literary fiction in general, and Whitehead's writing in particular, I did find substantial portions of Zone 1 to be a bit too slow for my liking. Is it an original take on much examined zombie lore? Yes. A successful one? Yes, to a degree, but not nearly as successful a literary effort as, say, a Whitehead zombie-free novel, The Nickel Boys. Or so is this reviewer's opinion. Zone 1 is a quiet meditation on end of the world level isolation and nostalgia for how things used to be, and regret that former hopes and ambitions are unlikely to be realized in a changed landscape. The protagonist is a man nicknamed Mark Spitz because of the day his comrades learn that he cannot swim. What he can do is get by, though not in particularly impressive fashion. His strongest characteristic is his mediocrity. Mark is never the best at anything he does, never the worst either. Instead, he's consistently somewhere in the middle. Mediocrity does not typically go hand in hand with riveting or exciting. It's simply sufficient to get one through to the next day, which is not the easiest of tasks when flesh-eating creatures are all around. The zombies of Zone 1 vary significantly in pulse-quickening behavior. Many of them are not on the hunt for flesh, but rather frozen in the posture of what they were doing last as humans before being transformed. I was reminded of the movie Awakenings, which you should check out if not already seen, and which I suppose in its own sad way is a zombie story of sorts. Mark Spitz mostly deals with the non-threatening variety of zombie, who must nonetheless be dispatched expeditiously. He does so not out of necessity to survive, but as a responsibility of his job, which takes place in what is left of New York City, in the neighborhood of Chinatown, now known as Zone 1. Orders come down from Command Center in Buffalo, New York, which supposedly is the least zombie-infected part of the country. Buffalo is a common destination for those on the run who find haven along the way, wherever it happens to show up. During these intervals, relationships are formed and stories of how things used to be before it all went to hell are told by the human survivors. For the time being, Mark is done with running, doing his job to lay the groundwork for a future zombie-free world. He's not especially optimistic that this future will become reality, or overly pessimistic that he's employed at a Sisyphean task. Mark's outlook, like his level of achievement at most endeavors, lies somewhere smack dab in the middle. Armageddon in fiction is often depicted in pulse-pounding fashion, but the version of it created by Colson Whitehead features a protagonist performing grunt work. He has friendships, but doesn't grow too attached to anyone, because here today is too often followed by gone tomorrow. Like cockroaches, the zombies definitely are not going extinct. They keep turning up everywhere they're looked for and not looked for. Mellow ones as well as the traditional monsters. Humanity, on the other hand, is teetering on the brink. People have the greater brain and firepower, but not necessarily superior patience and persistence. The humans residing in Zone 1 are protected by a wall, kind of like the citizens of Troy, and we know how that worked out for them. If you're a fan of insightful prose full of poetic despair and wry observations and gallows humor, add Zone 1 to your reading list. If you're seeking a garden variety zombie tale and unwilling to exit your reading comfort zone for a more challenging fare, then you may want to look elsewhere. We're fortunate to live in a world filled with books for every type of reader. Like zombies and the stories they inhabit, a wide variety of storytelling keeps on coming. That wraps up what I have to say about Colson Whitehead's Zone 1. If, like myself, you are a fan of literary fiction, and if, like myself, you are a fan of zombie stories, then you may be curious to see how those two interests may be merged. Um, Zone 1 is probably the only example of it that you'll find, but then again, there may be some others that I'll have to see if I can dig up. Till the next time, this is Roy of Roy's Book Reviews, wishing you happy reading.